Somewhere between Mars and Jupiter, silently drifting through the vast asteroid belt, lies a mysterious object, roughly 226 kilometers wide, glimmering with metals forged in the heart of an ancient star. Its name, Psyche, its estimated worth, over 700 trillion euros. Enough to make every person on Earth a billionaire many times over. But this isn't a science fiction story. This is very real. NASA is already on its way, and the implications could shake the foundation of our global economy. Welcome to our deep dive into the Psyche asteroid, what it is, why it matters, and how this single rock in space could kickstart the first interplanetary gold rush. Psyche, officially known as 16 Psyche, was discovered in 1850 by Italian astronomer Annibale de Gasparis. For over a century, it was considered just another body in the asteroid belt, a region of space filled with millions of rocky fragments orbiting between Mars and Jupiter. But everything changed when scientists began to study Psyche more closely using advanced radar and spectrometry. What they found stunned the scientific community. Unlike most asteroids, which are primarily made of rock or ice, Psyche appears to be composed mostly of metal, specifically iron, nickel, and possibly gold. Recent estimates suggest that anywhere from 30 to 60% of its volume is metal. The remainder is likely made up of silicate rock. This composition led scientists to theorize that Psyche may actually be the exposed core of a protoplanet, a planetary embryo that began to form billions of years ago, but never completed its development. In other words, it might be the stripped-down heart of an ancient planet that was torn apart by violent collisions during the early days of the solar system. If that's true, Psyche is the only known place in our solar system where we can study a planetary core directly. Earth's core, by comparison, lies over 2,800 kilometers beneath our feet and is completely inaccessible with current technology. Psyche offers a unique window into the internal structure of rocky planets like Earth, Mars, and Venus. But for many, what's catching attention isn't just scientific, it's economic. According to conservative estimates, if the metals on Psyche were mined and brought back to Earth, the total value could exceed 700 trillion euros. That's more than 30 times the annual gross domestic product of the entire world. It's more than the combined wealth of all billionaires in history. It's enough to disrupt every commodity market on the planet. Just a small portion of Psyche's resources, say, a few 100,000 tons of gold, could crash the global gold market overnight. If space mining isn't carefully regulated, the consequences for economies that rely on the scarcity and stability of precious metals could be catastrophic. Enter NASA's Psyche mission, launched in October 2023 aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket. The Psyche spacecraft is currently making its way through the solar system using solar electric propulsion. This cutting-edge technology allows the spacecraft to accelerate gradually over time using electricity generated from solar panels. It's not fast, but it's efficient, perfect for deep space missions like this one. After a planned flyby of Mars in 2026 to gain a gravitational boost, the spacecraft is expected to reach the asteroid Psyche in August 2029. Once in orbit, it will spend 22 months analyzing the asteroid in detail. On board are a suite of sophisticated instruments, a gamma ray and neutron spectrometer to determine chemical composition, a magnetometer to detect any remnants of a magnetic field, and a multispectral imager to map the surface in high resolution. But let's be clear, the mission is not designed to mine or retrieve materials. Its purpose is scientific, to understand the building blocks of planetary formation, to learn how Earth and other rocky planets developed internal layers, core, mantle, and crust, However, the interest in Psyche has reignited global discussion around the feasibility and consequences of space mining. Several private companies, including Planetary Resources and Asteroid, are already developing technologies aimed at asteroid mining. These include autonomous mining robots, on-site processing modules, and reusable spacecraft for material return. Nations like the United States, China, Luxembourg, and the United Arab Emirates have passed or proposed legislation to support future commercial mining operations in space. But the obstacles are significant. Mining in microgravity presents engineering challenges we've never faced. Extracting metals from a spinning object in space, refining them, and transporting them back to Earth would require technologies that, as of 2025, are still in early stages of development. Moreover, any large-scale return of metals to Earth could cause massive disruptions. For example, if a single company were to return even 1 million tons of iron from Psyche, that would instantly flood the global market and collapse prices. The same is true for gold, platinum, and other rare metals. There are also legal and ethical challenges. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty prohibits any nation from claiming sovereignty over celestial bodies, but it does not clearly address commercial rights or resource ownership. The United States Space Act of 2015 allows American companies to extract and own space resources, but this has been criticized by other nations as a violation of international norms. So who would own the metals from Psyche? Would they belong to the company that mined them, the country that funded the mission? Or should space resources be considered the common heritage of mankind, as proposed by the United Nations? And let's not forget the environmental implications. While mining in space might reduce the ecological destruction caused by terrestrial mining, it could introduce new risks, like space debris, planetary contamination, or even weaponization of mining platforms. This brings us to a deeper question. Should we mine Psyche at all? From a scientific perspective, Psyche is a treasure trove of information. It's a time capsule from the earliest days of our solar system. Studying it could help us understand not only Earth's origins, but the processes that formed all rocky worlds. From an economic perspective, Psyche represents both an opportunity and a threat. The potential profits are astronomical, but so are the risks of destabilizing our economy, legal system, and environment. What happens if a single corporation gains monopoly access to extraterrestrial metals? Could that corporation wield more power than nations? Could we see the rise of the first trillionaire space barons? There is no simple answer. But one thing is clear, the discovery of Psyche has accelerated the timeline for these discussions. Whether we're ready or not, the age of space resources is coming. The Psyche mission will not bring back gold, but it will bring back knowledge. Knowledge that may, in the decades ahead, determine the fate of our species, not just on Earth, but across the solar system. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the future of exploration, economics, and ethics. If you found this analysis valuable, be sure to subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Should we mine Psyche or protect it as a scientific reserve? And how should we prepare for the inevitable rise of space resource economies? Until next time, keep looking up, because the next frontier isn't out there. It's already in motion.